Alrighty, welcome. If you have not watched these videos before, my name is Mason Dupree. I just sort of use these as sort of a way to document my growth as I'm working on my own marketing agency as well as working full-time in another one. I've been working on my personal agency since like 2023, actually early 2022, well late 2022, up until all the way through 2023. Took a bit of a break and then joined the other agency, and then I've been working there and sort of testing things as well as helping them grow. And like I said, this video is more of my intention behind it is to be able to share and document, maybe provide some value. I've said this before in other videos, but I've talked to cameras before, I just have not uploaded them. But I think, if I find value in, making these videos, and looking back on them, then I think someone else might, as well. And so for that reason, posting these and sharing, kind of what I'm learning and hopefully that helps you guys is sort of the main goal. I am in marketing, so I just kind of make a quick disclaimer that I have no intention to sell you anything. I don't think this channel will ever be like that. But the goal is really just, like I said, to provide value up front. I know that's a little bit cliche and overdone, but it's genuinely what I'm attempting to do here. Now, in my previous videos, I've sort of stayed at the higher level of thinking and larger business thoughts and strategy and stuff like that. Today, I sort of wanted to go back to some more applicable strategies. And again, like I said, sharing what I'm learning on at work right now. One is cold email. So in my job, I have a lot of autonomy, and there's a lot of different things I can do and test. And so for that reason, given the offer that we have and the customer that we're dealing with, cold email seemed like it might make sense. Now, prior to, maybe about 2 months ago, I had never really done any cold email. I'd only ever done, email sequences to follow up with people who had not purchased on an e-commerce site, or, to follow up with leads who had submitted a form on a website. That gave me some decent experience to go off of. And, going into now approaching cold email, I had seen some things, about domain warming and reputation and all of that stuff. And those are really important things that you need to take a look at. Because if your emails aren't delivering, then obviously it kind of doesn't matter, right? But I really undervalued email for a long period of time. And I wasn't even sure going into this most recent project that it was going to produce any value. But I think this has really opened my eyes to how valuable email is. And I think that it is a critical part. Maybe it's not the future. Maybe other activities or ways of targeting are going to come about. But someone described cold email to me as sort of like you own that. It's not like a social media platform where you're doing organic and you kind of have to hope that the algorithm picks you up, or it's not like paid media where it's incredibly expensive. You're guaranteed the eyeballs, but you're sort of at the mercy of the platform. Whereas Gmail, or email, you kind of get control of the messaging and then who you're targeting, right? And so for that reason, it's almost not quite your own, but it is in a way. And so I think that's incredibly valuable, especially with certain restrictions on marketing and anything like that. That's not really my concern in this particular scenario. It was just that what we were able to do with email is enhance it with AI. And I've talked about AI a couple of times on this channel. I don't want to beat that dead horse, but what I started to do was build out a cold email sequence, but I used AI as a way to personalize the messaging, because the key part of cold email outreach is to make it feel personal. If I had all the time in the world to sit there and spend 30 minutes looking up someone, their LinkedIn profile, the podcast they have, the YouTube channel they have, what their previous experience is, where they went to school, all this stuff, then I can compile it into effective marketing messaging. And I first got this idea back when I was in college and I was, as a real estate agent, nurturing leads. I was like, man, the first person, because obviously everyone is using Gmail or, ChatGPT to kind of enhance their emails, right? And I was like, man, what I started doing is taking notes on the leads that I had. So I would talk to buyers and they would come to me and they'd say, oh, we're looking in this area. But they'd also mention other things like, oh, my daughter goes to this school, or my favorite sports team is this or that, right? And so there's these little details that you pick up on people that I would obviously note. And so that way, the next time I had a conversation with them, I could bring it up and kind of create commonalities in areas that we had, commonalities. But what I started to do was take all the notes that I had, all those personal messages about all those different little data points I had upon a person, and then I would take the description of a listing and I would pop it into ChatGPT and say, write me an email that would, basically get this person and the unique things about them interested in this property. And I think, the first CRM to make that super easy is going to be amazing. Like if it would just suggest an email that says, hey, this is Robbie. Robbie's looking for this house in this price point at this square footage, and this is the property, right? And then it's like combine the two, and then it's like, hey, it's only 2 hours away from your favorite fan or your favorite team in Atlanta, all this and that. It was actually pretty cool, and you can do it pretty quickly. And so it was like personalized lead follow-up at scale. Now I'm kind of doing the cold email outreach at scale. And so I think what's pretty substantial, or what has made my sort of system successful? And I'll go ahead and share like a little bit of, some stats. I don't have a full understanding of the booking rate, but, of the people that I send a booking rate to, it's 100%, and they show up, I would say it's about 90%. Of that, we've closed, I think, at least about $40,000 to $50,000 in revenue through this system, through various different offers that we have. And it's only been really working for the past month. So it's been great. The booking is awesome. People have booked and the cold email outreach is working. And, in the beginning, some of the prompting was off, some of the title stuff was off. And so it would get certain variables wrong when we were reaching out to people, and that could kind of show, and it kind of pointed out, people would point it out. But as I went along and I refined it, I no longer get any messages about, oh, your email outreach sucks, like, or your AI sucks, right? No one detects, I think, at this point, unless they detect it and don't respond, which is obviously a variable I cannot figure out, or would be able to perceive. But of the people who do respond, it's almost never, they never ever suspect that it's not a person, because it's that level of personalization. And I think what's really critical to that is having a data-rich environment that you're pulling from. So the more data you can get on a person before you do your cold email outreach, and the more you can apply that into an organic email that sounds like it's written by someone using AI, the more effective your opening rates are, which I think ours is like 50%, right? I wish I knew our booking rate, but they're incredibly high open rates. And of that, there's a really high, I can't remember if it's like 20 or 30% reply rate, whatever it is. I might be misquoting that, and I don't want to misrepresent anything, but really high reply rates. And then from there, I just have a couple of auto responses or, saved responses that help get the deal from, point A being cold email to point B being a booked call, right? And the system's pretty refined at this point. It's really great. And so I recommend using cold email. It's just when you are doing that, make sure you're using a certain level of AI personalization, and whatever data source that you're getting, make sure it's incredibly rich with the information. And then a bit of that is, putting it into an email that sounds organic. And I'll go ahead and give you guys sort of my script for just that first initial cold email. And I'll even talk about the sequence. I kind of wrote it out here. But this is kind of how I start things. So it's like, hey, my name is XYZ. I think it's a little bizarre to never start with who your name is. And some people say yes, no, whatever. I know the first line's critical. Subject lines are important. Do your best to come up with a good subject line for opening rates. But hey, my name is Mason Dupree. I noticed, and then it enters an AI enhanced compliment. So it's a compliment based on some specific details that would be, specific to them and that would reflect some sort of search or interest in that person, and that we've done our due diligence and looked into them. Which is part of the prompt that I give to ChatGPT or OpenAI to write this header. I enter that header so it'd be unique to them, like, hey, we really like how you, bring a unique perspective to skiing in, the mountains of Colorado or whatever it is. Some, customization thing that would really stand out as unique and would make the person at least question, it's getting close to passing the Turing test, but not quite, as to whether or not this is personal outreach. After that, that was the only variable I had that was AI enhanced. After that, I keep it incredibly vague. I know a lot of people want to build email sequences that are, oh, here's this value, here's this value, here's this value. And what that feels like to people is marketing. And so for that reason, save the providing value for the actual lead interaction. Do not do that in your cold email outreach, in my opinion. And I technically, I guess, haven't really tested the other. And I can't say with confidence in terms of the data that this is better than that. But what I can tell you is I've got a pretty good hunch that comes off as incredibly scammy and markety, if that makes sense. Spammy is probably a better term. But yeah, don't make it seem like you're trying to shove a product down their throat. Just say, hey, this is genuine outreach. My name is Mason. I've looked up your stuff a bit. I think we can help you guys. This is what we do. And then from there, just keep trying to follow up with them. So that was the gist of the first email. Hey, here's what I do. And we've been able to do this really great thing. I'd love to start a conversation about how we can make that work for you. Are you the right person to reach out to? If not, would you mind pointing me in the right direction? Always kind of ask for that favor. That seems a bit more organic as well. And then again, congratulations, and look forward to hopefully hearing from you soon. Best, Mason, right? After that, like I said, then there's a little flow of emails that basically reach out like a human would. So my next email is like, hey, just following up my last email, wanted to see if you got it, right? Keep them very short, very brief. And then number 3, like, hey, I've been trying to reach out to someone at this email with no luck. Is this the right email? Could you pass me to the right person? And then, number 4, is this the correct email for XYZ? Let me know and I'll stop reaching out if it isn't. Excuse me. So all of those emails are very vague. All of those emails do come with a link in my signature to our website. So they can do a little bit of research if they want to. There is not a direct call to action, but there is an opportunity for action. And I think a lot of people are very good at snooping these days. And so, if you're not going to reply, I want you to look at the best content we have. I linked to the great website that we have. But that first, that first chain is all about just getting a reply. And so sometimes they'll be like, oh yeah, you're reaching the right email. Can you tell me more about what's going on? Or, hey, sorry, your first 2 landed in spam. Again, back to the deliverability stuff. Just seeing your email now, what do you do? Or, hey, yeah, I would love to have a conversation. How can we how can we connect or whatever? In which case I have a couple of auto-saved, responses where I say, hey, that's great. Thank you so much for your, response. And I'd love to set up a time, here's the booking link, right? Don't make it feel salesy. And another little key point, something I've done, and again, I haven't split tested this, but this is how I do it. When I'm sending a booking link, I label the booking link, even if it is a sales link, as a personal calendar link to XYZ person, right? Like, here's my personal calendar booking link. Please, find a time that's convenient for you, and you'll be able to add any guest you can. Make it sound organic. Make it sound like it's an internal private opportunity to book a call. Don't make it sound like a discovery call. Like, avoid discovery, avoid sales. Intro might be okay, but like, you don't want it to sound like a sales call. You want it to sound like someone reached out to you on LinkedIn and has an opportunity for you and would love to get coffee. Like, sort of like, hey, we might have an opportunity to be able to present you with something valuable. I think it might be worth your time. That's sort of the vibe you want to get people into when they come to the funnel. And like I said, the booking rates are super high and the purchasing rates are pretty high too. So this has worked out really well for us in our agency, and it's really made me rethink the effectiveness of cold email and what I could do. And I've already started working on a new version that will actually apply even more custom variables using AI for more data in those subsequent emails. So again, I want to keep them short, but like, if I could just give them a hint that I've actually looked up their stuff a bit more in a subsequent email, then that's even bigger, right? Because personalized on 1 email is great, but personalized on 5 emails is even better. So anyway, that's kind of my spiel for today. I just wanted to share sort of some actionable knowledge. That's something that you can kind of take away and use in your business, and hopefully it can kind of give you a bit of success. There's a lot of things that go into cold email, like warming up domains, buying domains, how long that takes to warm up a domain, sending and deliverability, reputation, lists, enhancing, lists and using AI, as well as cleaning lists to make sure that you're hitting, valid emails and not getting a high bounce rate. There's a lot of things that go into figuring out cold email. In itself, it's its own whole marketing branch. And I think that you should spend a good amount of time on it if that's something that you think would be applicable to your business. If not, continue with the strategy you've got going on, because you're probably gonna be more knowledgeable in that and be more successful in that anyway, as opposed to starting over. Try to avoid starting over, try to build skills that can carry into the next thing. And yeah, that's sort of my spiel for today. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks. All right, bye.